G'day everybody and welcome back to the ScaleHQ Podcast. This week, we are talking about how to empower your people and make it far more likely that they are going to succeed. How are we going to do that? Well, let me tell you, and this might seem a bit controversial or not even that important, position descriptions for jobs are holding your business back. They are super outdated. I know we all grew up on them in the 90s and the early 2000s. We all got position descriptions. And what were position descriptions? They were full of tasks, broad general statements about our key responsibilities, a gigantic list of tasks, probably like 15 or 20, 30 tasks. And the problem with that, that's not actually communicating to somebody what success looks like. So I'm going to propose to you, and I'm going to share with you today a tool that I have been using with hundreds of my team members across multiple entities. I share it with all my founders, and I'd say at least 90% of founders implement this template, and they absolutely love how it changes the level of accountability, the level of clarity, and the quality of conversation that you get to have with the individuals in your team. Why? Because every single one of them knows exactly what success looks like in a measurable, quantifiable way every single month and for the year. But there's some real nuance in it. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to do a little bit of a different episode style. I'm going to share a screen as I talk through the differences between a typical old school position description and a success profile template that I use with all my founders and have used very much personally in the past.
Welcome to the ScaleHQ Podcast. I am Sean Steele and I'm a growth mentor, digital nomad, a massive metalhead, and the founder of ScaleHQ. And you, more importantly, are a founder of a 7 or 8 figure services business who is finally ready to get serious about scaling up or securing a step back from your business or a life-changing exit in the next 3 to 5 years. And if that's you, then you are in the right place. Because with over 100 million in revenue growth across my last 4 companies and many acquisitions under my belt, I have spent my whole career figuring out what makes businesses more valuable, scalable, and sellable. And I've learned a couple of things, and I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to share those with you today. So welcome to your fortnightly dose of practical strategy, founder success stories, and expert deep dives to help you finally get a return on all that sacrifice that you've made in your business. Welcome to the show. Let's dive right in.
So if you are on YouTube, hooray, easy, you got the visuals. If you're on Spotify, you can look at the video version, but you're probably on your phone, so it might be a bit small, but you can give it a crack. If you're listening to on another podcast player, maybe Apple or something, you may want to just use the YouTube link in the show notes to go and check out the visual version. But I'm going to be talking through it, and I'm going to do it in such a way that you should be able to get it if you're just listening by audio. So let's get stuck right into it. Let me organize this screen share, and we will talk about why this actually makes some difference. And I know it sounds like it couldn't be something more boring, but I absolutely promise you that this is a game changer in terms of how you can elevate the performance of your team members. So I've got up on the screen, I'm going to use an example job, a client delivery manager. So imagine this is a training organization and they've got somebody who's responsible for training, but they're also a bit responsible for sales. So the job is to manage corporate training delivery, and they've also got to do some selling as part of that. Now, in a typical position description, it would be like, okay, this would be a broad purpose of the role, and then there'd be a big old list of key responsibility areas and a bunch of tasks under everyone. Like, okay, client relationship management. You're acting as the primary contact. You're doing some regular check-ins, documenting interactions. You're escalating unresolved concerns, blah, blah, blah. Service delivery coordination. Okay, you're probably developing project timelines and conducting quality checks. And you can hear that all of these they're fine. They're tasks. They're the kinds of things that this person might do in the job. Team leadership. They might have to provide guidance to feedback to their team members, monitor the workloads and assign responsibilities, all the things you'd imagine. If they're doing business development, maybe they've got to identify business development opportunities throughout the month. They may have to develop some proposals. They might need to work with other people to develop contracts, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, there'll be a list of qualifications and skills, like you need a bachelor's degree in business, 5 years of experience in this, proficiency in that, blah, blah, blah. But it'll be pretty light. I maybe, 4, 5, 6 things.
Now, if you are keen to step your business up to the next level, like by taking on an investor or stepping back and installing management so that you can enjoy dividends and get out of operations, or perhaps you want to secure a life-changing exit in the next 5 years in your business, well, whichever one of those 3 things you want, you are going to have to really think about what you prioritize over the next few years, because it's going
going to matter a lot as to whether you actually achieve those or not. And I see lots of founders staying trapped in their businesses way too long because they're not sure what to prioritize when it comes to the sort of, working on their business. Like, great idea, but what do I actually focus on? And unfortunately, the things that got you to your first million or two are very different from what you're going to need to do to achieve one of those three outcomes. And that's why you're going to love my Scale Scorecard that I've developed. It is a new diagnostic tool which I'm making available for free so that you can figure out where you're at right now and what you should focus on next. But it is not some made up fluff that I read in a book. This is real world scaling, investments, exits. It's my experience from having grown 4 companies by a total of 100 million in revenue. I've done due diligence on hundreds of businesses like yours as an investor. I've bought multiple companies. I've integrated them. I've led multiple turnarounds. So I've built a really deep understanding of what actually makes a difference in you being able to achieve one of those 3 outcomes. And so what I've done is reverse engineer all the ingredients that you need to think about across 8 key areas of your business into a simple survey. You can take it in 5 minutes. It's going to ask you 35 questions about your current strategy, execution, leadership, team, financials, offer, sales, and support. And then it's going to give you personalized recommendations about what to focus on and an opportunity for a free live growth audit where I will unpack your results with you if you'd like, and where I'll also give you my best thinking on what you should focus on in the next 90 days to build momentum quickly. No charge, totally free. So if you would like to maximize your chance of securing that step up or the step back or the step out, then come and find out your Scale Score at scalescorecard.com.au. It's scalescorecard.com.au, or just go to scalehq.com.au and click the button to take the quiz.
Let me explain to you some of the key differences in a success profile. To start with, there are 3 distinct sections. And what I'm showing you today, and what obviously if you look at the video version, you'll see, I'm not showing you a full success profile, nor have I shown you a full position description, but I'm giving you an example. One of the things that position descriptions do not have is attributes. And let me explain why attributes are so important. Ultimately, in a sort of professional development style setting, when you are having rhythmic one-on-ones with your team members, you want to be able to give them feedback on their performance, like how are they going against their objectives. You also want to know where they need to develop. And ultimately, your best guide for where they need to develop is the gaps that they've got against their success profile. Now, if you're doing that against a position description, you're probably going to be assessing their competency against a bunch of tasks. Whereas what you're doing in a success profile is you're assessing their level of competency against, yes, experience, but also a list of skills that are critical for them, like leadership and team building skills or strategic thinking and execution, or, a range of other skills. You've listed a whole bunch of knowledge they need to develop. So they may need to learn certain frameworks or certain project management methodologies or human-centered design principles. So there's a whole bunch of stuff around knowledge, but then attributes. I cannot explain to you how valuable it is to have a set of attributes in a success profile. And why is that? Because one of the biggest issues is when you have a team member, let's call them a B-. They're pretty good at their job. Like, they're sort of good enough. They don't do anything amazing, but they sort of just get by. You know who I'm talking about already in your team. They just get by. But the way they show up, like their attitudes, their attributes, their behaviors, they just show up in a way that irks everyone, or it's a bit negative, they're a bit toxic, they're just not healthy for the team environment. But the problem is they're not bad enough at the job for you to deal with them on a sort of, they're not achieving the outcomes basis, but they're also not breaking any code of ethics or moral boundaries. Like, they're not doing anything awful, but they're just awful to have in your business because they are sucking the life out of everybody else. These are really hard conversations to have and people to move on unless you have a set of attributes in your success profile. So now when you have energizes others and fosters collaboration, when they're not energized, it means it's actually an expectation that you can have and that you can talk to them about when you're having your one-on-ones. What are you doing at the moment to actually energize others? Can you give me some examples of that? I'd love to see you focus on these things to actually bring some energy to the team. Like, you're now having a conversation about the way they show up, not just what they do. Or if you want them to have an owner-first mindset on something, well, how would an owner, one of your attributes in your success profile is an owner-first mindset. Let's go back through that scenario. Tell me, if you had an owner-first mindset, how you would have thought about, the considerations you made, the decision you made, the action you took. Now you're having a conversation about how they show up, not just what they do. So that's the first thing. Attributes, I think, is one of the biggest, most powerful parts of a success profile, because you have much better quality conversations about how they show up in your business with your team and with your clients. The second thing is what we rarely, let's just say we've got a position description and maybe we've given them some objectives for the year. They're probably pretty high level. Maybe they're tangible. Okay, maybe they've got a sales target, or maybe they've got to deliver XYZ project. And that's great. But let's just say that's like a 9-month project. So they start, you've given them this gigantic list of tasks and you said, okay, by month 9, you need to deliver this project. At the moment, month to month, they don't really know if they're succeeding.
And you probably have a feeling as to whether they're succeeding, but because you haven't actually outlined the activities that are the most important leading activities and lagging activities that result in all the mechanisms of their job being delivered successfully, they don't know what those things are. They're not clear about them. So for example, let's say it's client service delivery. So rather than just saying you're responsible for keeping clients happy, well, a leading indicator, so something that they should be doing that's a proactive action every month, is probably conducting a formal check-in with every single client. Now, that is a tangible thing that you can measure, that you can review with them every month. Are they doing it or are they not? And what's a lagging indicator? Well, a lagging indicator of, rather than just being responsible for client satisfaction, a lagging indicator might be maintaining a client satisfaction score of 4.5 out of 5 on the training delivery that happened in the team, or on client delivery, actually responding to all the client inquiries within one day. Well, you may or may not have a way of measuring that, but that's an example of a leading indicator, a leading activity that they should be doing every single month. Let's say team membership. Rather than just saying, well, you're responsible for growing your team, here's a bunch of tasks you need to do. What about a leading indicator of success would be that they're actually having one-on-one sessions with all team members every month, that they are running a training session for their team members every single month. A lagging indicator might be that that their team are achieving 90% of the agreed development actions that you are agreeing in your one-on-one sessions with them every month. And then let's take the third. So, I've just put 3 categories here: client service delivery, team leadership, and opportunity development. Opportunity development, because this role is carrying a sales target. Well, rather than just saying, I'd love to see you generate opportunities, or I'd love to see you generate $500,000 worth of sales this year. Well, that's great. But what does success look like in month 1, in month 2, in month 3, in month 4? How are you going to know whether they're doing the right things that are going to lead to the success in that outcome? Well, a set of leading indicators would be they're logging at least 10 new opportunities into the CRM every month. They're conducting at least, 4 sales qualified needs analysis with clients every month. And they're delivering, they're sort of pitching at least twice in the month. They're delivering 2 proposals. And then on the lagging side, so what should be the results on a monthly basis, they'd need to get at least a 50% conversion rate from proposals to sales with an average yield of $500,000, so that by the end of the year, you've at least got $500,000 or $600,000 done. You can see, rather than giving a big old list of tasks, you've actually given them measurable, quantifiable things they need to do that you can say yes or no, it's been done on a monthly basis that are going to lead you to the outcomes. And then finally, objectives and key results. The last part of this is about how clear can you get with your objectives and your key results. Sometimes people have these super long-winded, qualitative, just lots of words, but it's really hard to know, what do you actually want them to deliver? What are the things that are most important? And there probably shouldn't be more than like 5 or 6 of these in total. What are the most important 5? If they're doing all these activities every month, they're kind of managing the BAU, the leading indicators, the lagging indicators are delivering what the business requires in that job. The OKRs, the objectives and the key results, so the big deliverables for the year, there shouldn't be too many of those. And they're probably going to change every year, whereas then the leading and lagging indicators are probably not going to change every year. They're probably going to be pretty consistent. But what about, so for example, in the team leadership, the OKR might be to get the team engagement score to 85% in the annual survey. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that obviously go into that, but that's the measurable outcome that you want, the key result you want to achieve. On the opportunity, on the sales side, you might want to secure and recognize $500,000 of revenue in this year. And on the client delivery side, you want to achieve client satisfaction scores of 4.5 out of 5. It's like, if I do those things, are they the most important things for this year? That's the question with your OKRs. If you didn't quite pick up the nuance, I really want you to think about the key differences here and try them on for yourself, because in a position description, you've got these, you usually have, and go back and look at some of the ones that you've got in your business today. You'll have lists of tasks and vague responsibilities. A success profile, you'd have clearly defined success through behaviors in terms of the attributes, measurable outcomes, and they would be aligned with your strategy. It'd be absolutely clear for them what success looks like for them that year. As I mentioned on the attributes, in a position description, you don't have any. Maybe it'll say soft skills, or we have a code of ethics, or we have some values or something. That's not the same as specifically articulating attributes that are important for that role. Like if I've got a sales manager, I'm going to expect them to be inspirational. It's okay for me to expect that of a sales manager. That's actually part of their, maybe not every leadership role, but they have to lead with the heart because they're running a sales team. Now, I want to be able to create that with attitudinal and behavioral expectations, so it forms part of coaching, and it can also perform part of performance management if it's not happening. So that's the attribute section. The success rhythms. In the position description, it basically says, here's the things that you need to do. Not what does success look like? How do you qualify what these things should look like when they're done and when they succeed? And there's no structure for monthly accountability in a position description. The success profile says, here's the leading and lagging indicators every single month that gives you real-time tracking, real-time progress on the stuff that's actually going to deliver the results that you need in that job on a regular basis. From a development perspective for the person, there's very little foundation for professional development planning out of a position description. There's some, but it's pretty inefficient. Whereas with a success profile, you've outlined attributes, knowledge, competencies, and experience, and you can assess that person against all of those dimensions and then figure out where they need to develop that year. No one's ever going to get 10 out of 10 on those things. That's the whole point, is you're trying to grow them in the role. If they can already do 10 out of 10 on everything, they're probably in the wrong job. They need to be a level up already. And then finally is the alignment piece. Position descriptions don't usually start with thought about what is the organizational strategy? What are the organizational objectives and key results? How do they need to flow into these roles? That's quite often missed. And so a success profile, by capturing these OKRs or these objectives and key results at the end with clear leading and lagging indicators, we're going to lead us towards them, is usually going to be done first by setting your organizational objectives and key results, so your annual plan, and then determining what goes in the success profile for that year. So if you think about it like a waterfall, it should be absolutely clear to everybody what does organizational success look like? And then the success profile captures what does success for the individual look like. Now, I know I've run through that pretty quickly, but I want to try to keep this as short as possible. If you would like a template for success profiles, all you need to do is email me at hello@scalehq.com.au. Just jump on your computer or from your phone, hello@scalehq.com.au, and write the words success profile, and I will get you a copy of the template. I think you'll absolutely love it. I know it's nuanced, and I know it feels like it's a bit boring, like why are we talking about position descriptions? But I absolutely guarantee you, if you implement this, the quality of conversation that you can have at a level of accountability that people get and the level of empowerment they feel because they understand what success looks like for them, it massively improves. So please take the opportunity to leverage it. Let me know if you've got any questions. hello@scalehq.com.au. Write the words success profile, and we'll go from there.